Hey everyone, it's Angie and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be redrawing an old drawing from back 2013 when I was really getting into manga and drawing in that kind of style. And so I had just gotten my first manga book back then, and I was like really trying to draw these characters and like do proportions and things like that. So the girl looks fine, but obviously the background didn't. I was not really good at backgrounds. I didn't do backgrounds. I just kind of scribbled a background. There weren't many pictures where I drew backgrounds and things like that. So, yeah, there's just mostly at a time I just drew people and like portraits. I think that's how I love portraits so much. And just drawing people and characters in general, so why I still don't really draw a lot of backgrounds. But anyway, yeah, so I started off with a sketch in this redraw, and I tried to have a better composition. And so in the original there was like a wall on the side because she's supposed to be standing in front of a building, but that did not look good. I thought it was just kind of random and just was confusing, so I took it out and I just added more foliage and things like that. Also with the girl, I made her have more flowing hair, like there was a wind, because in the original it was just so stiff and she was just like a little stick standing, so I changed that up. I think something that I don't really do now is like different head poses. Like she's supposed to be looking up in this drawing and in the original drawing, but I don't really draw people looking in odd like up directions or like down and like to these weird angles, so that kind of was hard to do. Also the trees, I had to look up a video on how to draw these kind of trees because I don't really draw trees, or at least not like in this anime manga style, so I had to look that up and then try to mimic that kind of style. The feet were like giving me a hard time. I erased a lot in this redraw because I really wanted it to be perfect, I guess you can say. I was trying to make everything like how I liked it, and if I wasn't happy with something, I would just erase it right away instead of like letting it be and then that becoming a part of the drawing. I really wanted to see an improvement, so I really tried hard to have a really perfect, at least to me, kind of outcome. So I erased a lot. And so now I'm just inking everything. When I was like a little girl, I used to just love watching fantasy movies and TV shows and things. So this drawing was supposed to be like about a girl, and she finds out she's a fairy, so she's going to fairy school or something. And looking back at these old drawings I did of her, I think is how I came up with my current OC, who also has blue hair, but obviously it's not just a scribble of blue, you know. Also, to give more detail to this drawing, I made a stone path and all that, and I added more details to the suitcase and made it more realistic looking. The suitcase in the old drawing just looked so bad. It was just like a block of green thing. It was just, you didn't even know what it was. It was just so weird. And now I'm coloring everything. This part took me forever to do because I hadn't colored with just color pencils in a long time, and I need to kind of freshen up a bit, so it took me forever to get everything right. I started with a very light color of blue for the sky and build my way to the final product. Yeah, so for coloring with colored pencils, you have to layer a lot and a lot and a lot in order to make it look a certain way. Like, I wanted it to be more kind of realistic looking, so for the sky, I didn't ink it, and I just layered a lot of blues and whites to make the sky look really realistic. I had to look up a video even on how to color with colored pencils on like grass, because I think that part in the original really took away from the picture because the grass was just scribbled on. It looked terrible. So when I looked at the video and everything, it said to like work in small sections and things like that. I didn't color the girl until the very end because on one of the videos I looked up, it said that if you leave the main subject for the end, it's easier to color because you know what colors work best behind the already colored and finished background instead of a white background. So I don't color the girl until the very end. And also, like, part of the video cuts off the hair, and I didn't realize that it didn't film the hair, so you will see like it just randomly cuts off to the hair already being done. But I basically just did like a light blue, and then I built, or a light aqua actually, and I just like built my way with some darks in the shadows. I didn't leave her hair the same blue as in the original. I changed it, and obviously I changed a lot of the colors because I thought the colors in the original drawing just looked so not good at all. They were just so weird combinations. I didn't really know anything about colors. I think something that was really frustrating was this tree in the foreground. It was just like so hard to color. Like, the trees in the background were easier to color, but since I guess the tree was closer, it was hard to build up detail because I'm not really good at like doing trees in general, so it was kind of hard to make it look similar to the other trees, but I think it's okay. And yeah, I'm just adding more detail to the grass. I used a lot of greens, dark greens, browns, yellows to make the grass look more realistic and to give it a more like that it's grass and not like just a scribble like I did in the old drawing. I also used a colorless blender over the entire drawing, like throughout, so that it could blend better and have like less little white specks from the paper. And now I'm doing the stone path, and this part I actually like was kind of annoying to do because I don't have a gray color pencil, so I used black, and I kind of just went over it with white to try to make it look like gray, but it just didn't look right, at least not in person. But I kind of just had to go with it because I don't have a gray. Maybe I could have used pencil. Now that I think of it, I could have just used a light like pencil or something like that, but I used a colored pencil. I don't know, but yeah, so I used this to make the stones, and I mean, I didn't really like the finish, but it's better than, I don't know, nothing. So yeah, and then I'm adding some more detail to the sky because I wanted it to really be like smooth and realistic looking, like how sky is in real life, and so that it'll give that more depth look, that like this is an actual place and not just like how it was in the old drawing. It was just very flat, so I really tried to improve in that. part of the drawing, the background. So this is supposed to be actually like a girl, like an OC that I made up a long time ago. She's supposed to be like a fairy who is going to fairy school because she found out she was a fairy. And yeah, it's really inspired by like Winx Club and things like that when I watched when I was like a little girl. It's kind of funny to see all my old OCs looking like really weird. So now I'm doing the girl, and I'm starting with a very light skin tone because in the original actually there was like she didn't even look like she had a skin tone. It was just the white of the paper. So I really tried to give a lot of color to her skin. So I added a lot of like peaches and browns and reds and pinks and try to give it more realistic feel. So since she's supposed to be in front of a building, I found it kind of like I didn't really know what to do in order to imply that she's in front of like a building or something like that, but I kind of just put a lot of shadows everywhere, I guess. I don't know if it looks like she's in front of a building. I guess it doesn't really matter because I actually like the way it came out anyway. So even if you can tell that she's like, I mean, I think you can tell she's looking up at something, just probably not a building. And the colors for her clothing were actually, like, took me a while to figure out. And I ended up just using the same colors I used before. But I actually used a more pastel kind of palette because I did change her hair from dark blue to aqua, which I think made a huge difference in the outcome of the overall character. And the suitcase, I actually added more pictures, like little stickers on it, and I made it look more realistic because the old drawing was just like a weird green suitcase. And I think it's because that green on her suitcase was actually like my favorite color in all the colors I had, so I just wanted to use it everywhere. But I didn't use that color, and because I thought, well, she's behind green, so if I made the suitcase green, it just wouldn't look good. So I changed it and I made it more realistic looking, and instead of all those bright colors, I made a more pastel palette to her clothing so that it's not very out there in your face, but more cohesive to the background and her environment. Yeah, so I'm really happy with how this came out. Like, to see such an improvement, at least in my opinion, from when I was just starting out, I guess, to like now, I think it's a big difference, like in perspective and character creation and environment creations, I guess. I think it's a pretty big difference, and in coloring technique, of course. I had a lot of fun with making this drawing, and I think I'm gonna do more coloring in the future with just color pencils. So now I'm just adding some finishing touches and some shadows and all that jazz. So yeah, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section about the old drawing versus the new drawing. Like, what didn't you like that I took away or didn't add or whatever, and what did you like about my new drawing and everything. So here's the before and after, or the after and before. As you can see, it is, at least to me, really different. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting my channel, even though I barely post because I procrastinate. And don't forget to check out my Instagram and my social media because I post there more often. And yeah, see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.